So how is it to be gay and fight in Ukrainian army? Or what does it mean for you if you're part of the community and you live in the regions that are occupied by Russian army? For all of this and more, I talked to my friend Ilya, who lives in Kyiv. Give it a listen. Hi, Ilya. So, the people who are watching us probably I will post it in a larger spread, but we just finished the first talk. So just really quickly for the people who didn't have the chance to see the first video, this is my friend Ilya. We know each other for a few years. He's from Ukraine, and with the recent development in Slovakia, I figured that maybe it would be really good to kind of actually ask Ukrainian, how are the things there, and that's what we talked about in the first part of the video. I can link it somewhere probably if I'm good enough on the screen. And now I wanted to talk about the second thing, which is LGBTQ rights, because I understand you travel the country wide and that you had kind of a lot of encounters with this topic. I think you even published article recently in New York Times, if I'm not wrong. So I was and I realized that I don't know anything about it. I had a little bit of a glimpse when I was in Ukraine a few years ago, but apart from that, I don't actually know much. So let's maybe start with, what was the state of LGBTQ rights before the war happened? Did you had registered partnerships, marriages? How was it kind of accepted?
In general, I guess situation is not the best one. We don't have any partnership yet, and right now, a few years ago, President promised that he will help with getting the law on the partnership, and it never happened yet. And they're trying hard to get the law on hate crimes, where it will state that hate crimes against LGBT people is significant. But surprisingly, after Russian invasion, I guess at least in the beginning, surprisingly, general attitude towards LGBT people became better. And there are a few reasons. One reason is that the LGBT community joined the armed forces actively, and there's even LGBT military organization who's promoting LGBT people in the army and making them visible. And another even more significant thing, that Putin and Russia is talking a lot against LGBT.
Of course. So then you very naturally are in the other side of the spectrum, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
that actually makes sense. Randomly enough, maybe it's an urban legend, but that's the reason why Spain is so pro-LGBTQ, because Franco, the dictator that was there, was super against LGBTQ rights. And then the super Christian country of Spain, after they got rid of Franco, became, kind of everything that he hated, they loved. So it seems that the rights that you had before the war are essentially the same as in Slovakia. We have nothing apart from anti-discrimination law, but I think it was applied once. I'm not sure, maybe it changed, but it's not something that's widely used. And I hear that it kind of makes sense that the conflict creates this sense of camaraderie, right, we are all in it together. You have a common enemy who is trying to kill you. So then obviously you probably also accept your minorities a little bit more. But I never realized that this kind of a very homophobic perception from the side of Putin will be actually something that would push your human rights in the right direction. So if I understand it correctly, are LGBTQ people allowed to serve in the military openly, or is there most don't ask, don't tell policy? How? Well, there is an organization you mentioned, so I guess it's not secret.
I mean, you see, the point is not all the members of this organization are serving openly, but you see the whole situation with the Ukraine, that army from 200,000 people just in few months became the army of 1 million people. So I think in the Western countries, there is this perception that there is this military people who are born to die and to fight. But the thing is that in Ukraine, all this 90% of this military people yesterday were doing whatever jobs, engineering, coding, I don't know, everything. Bartenders, making coffees in the coffee places. So it's just people, normal people, and lots of LGBT people joined the army, and they serve.
I mean, statistically, there must be high tens of thousands. I mean, it's young people in the army, right? So maybe even like 100K. So it
Yeah,
must not be that rare. Tell me more
yeah.
about this organization of LGBTQ people in the army. It seems like never heard anything like that. How does it work? What do they do?
Basically, they are telling the stories of different LGBT people to the world, and they're telling
Okay.
that yeah, there are LGBT people, and yes, they're serving in the military. Yes, they're protecting Ukrainians, Ukraine from the Russian invasion, and in this way, they are trying to fight for human rights, and basically, they are trying to make Ukrainians, common Ukrainians,
Yeah.
acknowledge that there is this group of people, and they're calling for Ukraine government to support this group of people. And actually, right now, they're trying to get the
Yeah.
law being passed on the same-sex partnership, not
Yeah. I mean,
marriages, unfortunately, but partnership. Just because with the straight couples, if your husband or wife are dying, they've been injured hardly during the fight, you can go see them. But with
yeah.
the
Yeah.
same-sex partners, if there is something and your husband or wife they're in hard condition in the medical institution, they wouldn't let you go because you are no one.
Oh yeah.
Legally, you are no one for them. And
Interesting.
there
Like
are
I never realized that actually like in the war is even more urgent because I mean if my boyfriend would go to the front because he was just drawn randomly, he's whatever, and I wouldn't be, and something happened to him defending the country that he defended will not allow his partner to. That's incredibly cruel, right? Like, like there are these details about the like kind of country conflict and the communities that you don't realize, but that is. I mean, that's just so cruel. It just like begs to be on a movie screen. By the way, just saying.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's the point. That's the point. And this organization is trying to support the rights of
yeah,
soldiers, LGBT soldiers,
and
and
also I
actually
imagine,
helping the rest of the
yeah,
people as
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, also I imagine it's kind of like a strong case that when they are like surfacing, oh look, this person is gay and he's fighting for like your country, right? This person is gay and he's defending your cities. Then probably the case of oh, the gay people probably deserve rights because they're also dying.
yeah.
Like gets a little bit of a boost. By the way, I can already see it, and you deserve it, right? But Ukraine, country in the war, will have registered partnerships sooner than Slovakia. I can already see it. It's going to happen. Slovakia is
It's
not going to
already
have registered
lasting
partnership anytime
already
soon.
for a year and a half, and I think it's really tough for our parliament to get this law. So I'm not sure. I would be really happy, but not
I
yet.
mean,
Not
Slovakia is also not very close, so it's up to the it's up to the races. But that's really interesting. I mean, I can also imagine the content being like super engaging. I was always like kind of fan of like Eastern European Genofont. You have to like link me the Instagram account. I can imagine it can be very engaging.
yeah, yeah. I will send you the link.
Yeah, I can also link it under the video. I think some other people might also appreciate it, and also obviously like supporting good thing and getting followers and everything else for the right cause.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. And they have communication in English as well, so it would be easy
that's
to follow.
brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. Um, Now I'm really curious. The first thing I'm doing after this recording. Um, so I understand that you've been published in the New York Times. That's quite an accomplishment, no? Like a co-author of an article, right?
I wouldn't say that I'm co-author. Lester Feder is American journalist, so
Mm-hmm.
I was a fixer for him, helping
Okay.
him with making this article in New York
What's a
Times.
fixer?
And fixer is the one who organizes everything for the journalists. Like
Okay.
journalists coming to Ukraine, he has a number of requests, and I'm as a local, I would probably know. I have more contacts, and then I could translate
Yeah.
from Ukrainian to English and vice versa. Yeah. So basically, just to organize things on this point.
I mean, just for maybe a little bit of context. So this is what you like next to your normal job. This is what you do, right? Like you help journalists because you have quite a bit of language skill, and you also kind of like know the place, and you go to war zones and everything else. How often do you do this? Like, did you do it for like other pieces of? This is how we
Yeah.
contribute to the like conflict resolution, right? Like kind of like letting information flow, making sure that they get the access.
Actually it's a secret from my boss on my everyday work, so I hope he wouldn't see that. But yeah, I work like at least like an article or report one report per month. Yeah, but
I mean,
sometimes more depending.
you probably luxuriously manage it on your free time, no? I mean,
Yeah, but
or on
still, I mean, it
vacation
takes quite
days.
a lot of time because
Yeah.
if you want, if you go to I don't know Kursk region, you would need to get so many permissions. You would need to get
Hmm.
send like lots of requests, and it's kind of it takes time, and yeah, it's
No, I mean
hard.
it's still amazing. I mean, I read the article, so like I'm not asking for myself, but maybe for the people who are listening, like, what is it roughly about? Like, what was the kind of like two, three messages that we should take from that?
Mhm. No, the whole idea of this article was trying to find out how the Russians treat LGBT people, because according to
Hmm.
Russian propaganda, LGBT people community is like the worst and like
Uh-huh.
representative of the Western countries, kind of like evil demons. And that's why journalists thought that on the occupied Ukrainian occupied territories, Russians would just try to rape, torture, and kill people just because they are related to LGBT community. So we
Wait,
were
how
worried.
does it? Sorry, just like reacting on the spot. How does it work? So you hate gay people. You
Russians.
find a gay. Yeah, I mean, not you obviously. You find a gay person, and then you rape them. Doesn't that also make you gay? Like I'm
You can
confused.
torture them. You can, yeah. I don't know what's logic. Like Russians have super strange logics,
Okay.
but in any case, you can at least torture them.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Understood. They're just like super cruel. And is this? Do they also do it to their people, or mostly to like kind of Ukrainians who lived there, or like who's the target here? And how do
I
they
mean,
know?
that person is gay,
Yeah. I mean,
lesbian.
I would not tell them.
It's not so hard. First of all, they've been just going to LGBT organizations. It
Hmm.
was, for example, Kherson. We worked in Kherson,
Okay.
so they could easily find out the organization from the website, all the
Okay.
LGBT community organizations. And with the people, you would just go through the phone, and most
Hmm.
likely you will find some information like
Okay. Fair enough.
some porn, some gay, some naked guy photo in your Instagram,
So
and
essentially anything. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Hmm.
And so there is a story of one guy who was captured by Russians and who stayed in prison during the occupation of Kherson. And this is an
Okay.
article about that, about his experience. We are not sure if Russians were really looking for LGBT organizations being LGBT organizations, or they've been looking just for any organization that would have like pro-Western connection or
Hmm.
pro-Ukrainian connection. So this is we don't have the solid response on that. But yeah, in general, it's awful. Everything that Russians believe not to be common with them,
Yeah.
everything that has any connection with the West or with Ukraine, uh, is just the reason for Russians to kidnap you, to beat you up, to get you in big troubles, and maybe
Yeah.
kill
So
you.
this guy that the article is about is he still alive? How did you like get the information? So was it like
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like
yeah. He
interview?
survived.
Okay.
He survived. He was tortured, maybe sexually assaulted, but we don't know for sure. I mean, it goes in the in the criminal investigation.
Okay.
But he's alive and he's in Ukraine right now.
How did he like how did he get like free from the kind of torture? I'm guessing he was somewhere in prison detained, right?
Yeah, yeah, quite a lot of they let quite a lot of people free after a certain amount of time. Like they kept this guy, for example, for 2 months, and they've been torturing him for 2 months. And on some point, they just let him go because Ukrainians were approaching. Some of the people they
Ah,
took with
okay.
them,
So they're kind of forced to let him
yeah,
go.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they took away lots of people or lots of civilians to the Russian territories. I don't know for what
Okay.
reason. So it's hard to explain everything they do.
So essentially, what I'm hearing is that LGBTQ people who are captured are kind of targeted, and then like kind of abused in various ways. I mean, I'm really not like worth to go into grim detail. And again, I read the article and it's really brutal. And they're essentially not being tortured because of they're trying to get some information from them or some like kind of war advantage. It's just kind of for a pure joy of hurting someone who's different than you, right? Do I perceive it correctly?
Yeah. That's absolutely the case. Maybe they would want to get some information from you, but I think like the main goal is just to use
Yeah,
your power and abuse
yeah.
others.
That's a war crime, isn't it?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
that's the
obvious.
thing.
Okay, do you think there is a because I mean, um, for instance, making a parallel to the conflict in Gaza, there was also quite a few war crimes, and I mean, it's not like the consequences are enforced or not yet, but there is quite a like massive push against Netanyahu. I think there are countries that he can't travel to because he would be arrested. Like things are kind of moving against this brutality. Do you think there is any chance that um, there is ever going to be kind of like justice for these people? Is there a chance that like after war or like how does it work, or do they have just like have to swallow it and go to therapy?
I don't know. There were so many crimes and there were so many Russians involved, so I don't think that all of them will get punishment. In the
Mm.
best case scenario, we'll have Putin arrested on some point.
Yeah.
I really hope it will happen, and some of his most favorite allies in Russia. But most likely, all of Russians wouldn't get punished for doing the
No, but
things.
I mean, but to be honest, I mean, it's awful that people do this. Obviously, like it would be ideal if like all the parts of the chain would be prosecuted. But if I'm being honest, this seems almost like a policy, right? Like this is probably something that is like it's definitely not discouraged. It's maybe even kind of like supported from the command chain because I mean it's been official policy of Russia for a long time. I remember reading these articles years ago that if there is a hate crime against LGBTQ person, even in big cities, it's not being investigated at all. It's just waived. So I can imagine that that's something that actually it's propagated and encouraged from the side of the command. And I think that's also how the like war crimes are usually perceived, that the like the responsibility and the persecution is usually for the like generals and the people high up. But I like are you hopeful, because it feels like if the conflict will be resolved, it's like from my perspective, maybe I'm wrong, a lot more about it. It will not be resolved in a way where Russia will full on capitulate and will like give us whatever we want, right? It's probably going to be some like very nitty gritty negotiation, and it's unlikely that the generals will in any way be given to the like tribunal or something. No.
But the thing is that there are not much choice. I don't really think that there are going to be like negotiations. I really think that Russia has nothing to lose, and any negotiations wouldn't lead to anything. There are only two options: or the Western countries, the Western world will win, or Russia will win.
Wait,
Uh,
don't you think that? Sorry, because like I think the perception from a lot of people, not just in Slovakia, but I mean, live in different countries, right? Is that there will be some like it's just a war of attrition at this point, and eventually political capital of Europe and political capital of Russia, it's going to be so low that some kind of a deal will be struck where some parts will be given to Russia, some parts will be left in Ukraine, and just like some kind of guarantees will be provided. I think this is the perception that like is kind of growing on the side of
have you
at least
heard
the people that I talk
anything
to.
from Russian side?
I mean,
That's
obviously not, but they're like even
that's the point. Like only Western countries live in some of their fairy tale world where
okay.
they have negotiations, like fairy tale world, and they have some kind of negotiations with Russia. And meanwhile, Russia is just conquering more and more territories from Ukraine. Russia is building their economy towards building more weaponry. They sell their
Hmm.
gas, whatever, to Europe, and they're profiting. So I don't
Killing gay people in parallel, yeah, doing like
yeah,
kind
I
of
believe that Russia could participate in some kind of negotiations just in sake of, I don't know, stopping Europe to support Ukraine or
huh.
whatever. But
Okay.
I don't really believe that Russia, unless it will be really forced to stop, it will stop by itself. Especially right now. Right now they're having everything. They're advancing the front line. They don't
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah, yeah.
economical problems. They have enough people to continue the war, and they see that the
Economical.
Western countries are weak in terms of having Orban, having Fico. They don't know what Trump will do. So, you know, for right now, I don't see that negotiations could stop Russia.
Hmm. Interesting.
And
So which also means
I would
that
love
yeah.
to war to stop, but I think that there are only two choices: or the Western countries lose, or Russia lose.
Hmm.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, or
and
we'll have super long, crazy war that will go through decades.
yeah,
Which like kind of this frozen conflict, which is honestly the worst case scenario, because then also like the impact on the like I mean it's not just about the LGBTQ community, but since there are people who are being targeted, it's very, very grim. Um yeah. I mean, is it I mean we talked about like LGBTQ people being in the army, so does that mean that these people have kind of more risk to go to the war? Probably yes, right? Because if they're captured, they get like a lot more kind of harsher treatment than the straight soldiers. So it's kind of even like it's kind of linking to the thing that we talked about, right? Like you already have bad situation because your country doesn't give you access to your partner, whatever else, and you even have a bigger risk. That's really it's I don't know, it's really cool that people do it and then they put it on Instagram. It's brilliant. Um, Maybe one last question: how is it with like because it seems that like LGBTQ people are heavily targeted and are in like a lot of danger in
in
Ukraine.
Russia or in Ukraine.
I mean both, but now I'm in Ukraine. Um, is there any kind of like international policy that allows the people from the community to get so I know that men can't leave the country, but even if you are a gay person and you are like in more danger, can you get asylum somewhere, or that's they never heard about the case
I
like
don't
that?
know about that be to getting asylum if it helps you, but
But can you
does it,
theoretically do it? Because I mean,
I mean, I
Ukraine
cannot
will.
leave the country being gay here, just saying that I'm gay, let me out. I
Yeah,
cannot.
right. It doesn't
No,
doesn't
no,
doesn't work
it
like that.
doesn't help. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, but then it's like it's super bad, right? Because you're like, and like Ukraine is a relatively large country, so there must be millions of gay people who are just close there, being in a huge risk, especially if you are close to the front line. But even if you are not, because like you don't know when it's gonna what move where, you cannot leave. You don't have like any rights, though it's
No,
maybe
I mean,
being
I
like
have
put
all
through
my
the
basic.
parliament.
I mean, like we would have all our basic rights as any other person in Ukraine.
Fair enough.
You
Okay.
lack the rights that straight people have, like with marriages, with adoption of the kids. But yeah, but in
You
general,
also don't have the hate crime protections, though. No.
we still don't have the hate
Yeah.
crime protections. So
That's what I meant. No, it seems like a like extra difficult situation for LGBTQ people, especially because like the risk is a lot larger, but you still cannot leave the country despite the risk being larger.
yeah,
Huh. Okay. Well, definitely do let me know once you write a new article, because I mean I didn't know about this. Like if you would ask me like, do you think that like gay people are targeted by Russians? I would probably say yes because it's intuitive, but it's not something that they like proactively think about. And I think it's really like you know god honest job that you actually are bringing these things with your effort forward
yeah,
to the west, because I think those are the things that then like win the political capital to actually support the effort, um and like then get people like me, for instance, like chip in a little bit for the war effort and whatnot, which is important, right? Like at the end of the day, there's also a huge layer of the information more, and it's really cool that you are contributing towards that.
thanks, thanks, and you are helping to spread the word as
Yeah,
well.
and hopefully fix the thing in Slovakia as well in parallel. All
That would
right.
be really nice.